Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. And if anyone else joins in, we can add them in, but we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you guys for joining us today. This is day 4 of the virtual series from the Greene County Chamber of Commerce. And I'm Jackie Greer, and on behalf of the Chamber, I welcome you here. Today we are visiting with Susan Powers of AssetGrade Registered Advisors and Investment Advisors, and she is going to be sharing with us the disconnect between the stock market and the economy. And I had a chance to quickly talk with Susan. It seems like there's some activity today that she's going to be talking about that I'm sure all of you are going to be so fascinated with. So we will go ahead and get started with Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
Hello, well, thank you. I appreciate that introduction, Jackie, and hello, everybody. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, I hope I do soon, besides in this virtual format. Let me talk just for a minute. And Jackie, is the presentation up? Mm-hmm. It is? Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about our firm and about myself, and then we'll get right into our topic today in case you have questions, and I hope you do. So AssetGrade, as Jackie mentioned, is a registered investment advisor, and that means that we're held to a fiduciary standard in working with our clients. We are very transparent about our fees. We don't take commissions or referrals or any other kind of incentive. So we are here only to do the best thing for our client every day. You're looking at the cover slide, and if you see the initials following my name, I was going to let you know. So my path to this role, being an investment advisor, is a little bit different than many. You may be more familiar with the typical or traditional broker from one of those large firms, but I came to this role in a little different way. So I started out in public accounting. That was actually my first job out of college. And I worked with a lot of small businesses. At the time I was in Texas, and those took the form of ranchers and farmers. And then I also did a lot of trust and estate tax work. That actually, from the CPA firm, led to my next role, where I was managing a national bank trust department. And that gave me a very different perspective as well. I worked with very large IRA clients, retirement plans, and charitable foundations. And it was actually while I was there that I decided I really wanted to focus on investing. And that's what took me to my role at Fidelity Investments, where I stayed for almost 20 years. And that's actually where I met my partners, Patrick Cote and Kate Hennessy. Pat's in Boston, Kate's in Chicago. And we worked together there for many years. And then we decided to form the firm. And we've been at it now for, can't believe it's almost 7 years. In terms of, also on the bottom, I should mention, so we work with Henrys, and probably people aren't that familiar with that term, high earners, not rich yet. That may describe you, and it may just depend on, how much you're making versus how much you're spending, but that's our target audience. And a lot of our clients are small businesses for that reason, as you might imagine. So let's go ahead and get into our topic today. So we were going to talk about the markets. And as Jackie had said, there is some news today. So when I say stocks are at all-time highs, I mean, as we speak, they are hitting all-time highs again today, which is kind of crazy, because if we back up a minute and we think back just a few months, in the first quarter of this year, we entered a bear market. And if you're not all familiar with that term, a bear market is when you drop from a peak of 20% or more. And that's what we did back in the February to March timeframe. And then very quickly, we forward on to the second quarter. And in the second quarter, it was one of the strongest up quarters in the stock market in over 20 years. So it's been quite a tumultuous ride. And all of that on the back of, we see one of the greatest economic downturns since the Great Depression. And how on earth is the stock market hitting these new all-time highs every day? I think we've hit more new all-time highs in the month of August than any other time in history as well, when we have this economic crisis on our hands. I don't know about you, we are getting that question a lot from our clients who were very leery about investing in the markets, only to see them turn around and go straight up. So when we think about this, hang on just a sec. When you think about a bear market versus a recession, the end of a bear market is a very different thing than the end of a recession. Part of the challenge that you see is that the businesses that are trading on the stock market aren't the businesses in our hometown or in other cities across the country that have been hit very hard. So you see the sign closures. Our economy here is very different, and we know that, and we're very fortunate. But that's not the case everywhere else. Earlier, may have been late last week, there were some statistics from Yelp. And of the businesses that are reporting on Yelp that they're closed right now, 60% of those, just over 60%, are permanent closures. So that's going to be a tough thing. And of those closures, over 60% are restaurants. So you can appreciate that, you know, stats like that are going to impact the economy today a lot more. And then you still might be thinking, so how does that then explain the market, right? And really what's driving the market is stimulus. We have had trillions and trillions of dollars of stimulus already. And there is more coming, make no mistake. So just this morning, as I was preparing to share the information with you today, Jay Powell, who is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, was on and was talking, and they have done an update of the Federal Reserve's plan and basically said that they are promoting growth. They will remain accommodative. Accommodative is just another word for very low interest rates and everything else they do to support the markets. And the market started to rally this morning again on the back of those Federal Reserve comments. One of the things, and my own husband asks me this all the time, so what does the market look at? If it's not looking at this current economic picture that's so challenging, what is it looking at? And typically what markets are looking at is this stimulus that's been given out, and like I said, trillions of dollars of it. This stimulus is going to impact the economy. And the markets firmly believe that if we need more, and I believe they are right, we will get more stimulus. So right now it's being held up in Congress. The House has passed a second version of the CARES Act, and we don't have anything from the Senate yet, but everybody widely believes that we will get it, and if we need more, we'll get that, and that the Fed will remain accommodative. Just today, Abbott Labs is up because they had positive news on an emergency authorization of a fast test that would cost $5 and be done in 15 minutes. So you can imagine the impact that kind of news, and looking forward, it's not going to change today, but it certainly gives the markets a lot to look forward to in the next 3 to 6 months as we think about that. So, Jackie, why don't we put up that next slide, because, you know, we've seen a lot of bad stuff in the market, and then we've seen a lot of good stuff in the market, and there still is a lot going on in the general economy, as we talked about. But we have the benefit here in Greene County of sitting pretty. We've got this little bubble going, and I wanted to look at some of these trends across the country that are benefiting us. So the don't be dense and the stranger danger, these are some terms that I saw earlier in the week when I was doing some research. Well, what that means is a rural area looks pretty attractive right now. People don't want to walk out of their house and be mobbed with other people shoulder to shoulder on the sidewalk. And so suddenly a rural area like ours, like many, are growing. We've been the benefactor of being one of the only rural counties in Georgia to be growing for several years, and now we're growing even more. And you think about that with, you know, versus the attractiveness of living in the city in an apartment and maybe having a WeWork office. Well, people think living out here in the country and working from home is a pretty good thing. And we've seen that certainly with all the real estate sales booming and real estate remodeling. Anything home related is just booming. And we've seen it in those stocks as well. And then a last trend that really I think will benefit us for many time, you know, for a long time to come, is just taking to the road. So I don't know if you've noticed, but RV sales are at an all-time high, which is just fascinating. They don't want to get on a plane. They're not getting on a cruise probably real soon, but they're getting in their car, they're buying an RV, and they're taking to the road. And tourism is a huge benefit for us in Greene County. So all of these factors combined lead to a really strong picture, I think, for us. Now, if you are fortunate enough to be one of these business owners here in Greene County who's benefiting from all of these trends that we're seeing here, you really need to be making the most of this opportunity, not just to invest, but to save for your future as well. And if you're not going to do it now, because I've talked to a lot of business owners, when will you? If not today, when? In talking with so many of our own small business clients, it's easy to get so focused on the business that you're really not looking at your personal finances or taking a step back to say, how do I capitalize on this? How many business owners have you run into that said, I'm doing 2 times the sales this year that I've ever done? Well, we need to make some hay with that while the sun's shining. And that's when you need to pull your team together. And I'd really encourage you, talk to your CPA. If you have an advisor, work with them. Maybe you need to pull in your attorney as well. But think about this climate that you're in, how you can take advantage of it and optimize this situation for you. Give yourself time to think beyond just running the business so that you can think about your future. And that's important. So I've often said to a lot of people, I've shared these statistics before, but 39% of baby boomers and Gen Xers, those are people, baby boomers are age 38 to 53 right now, and Gen Xers are 54 to 72. 39% of that age group has nothing saved for retirement. You don't want to be one of those people. So we need to do something about that. And that leads me to, so we talked about some of the things that are going on in these really low interest rates. These interest rates being so low are supporting markets. I didn't stop to mention that. So if you can't get anything for your money by saving it, people end up investing in the stock market just looking for some type of positive return. And if you have a CD or you have looked at the interest rate on your savings account recently, then you know interest rates are really low. And so that's driving more people into the markets as well. The flip side of that though, if you have debt that you need to restructure, you've never seen lower rates and you can capitalize on that opportunity today. This is a huge opportunity. Mortgage rates are at some of the lowest percentages that we've ever seen. A lot of people can refinance down from maybe a 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage. That's huge. You may save literally $100,000 in interest by doing something like that. If you have business loans, if you have had the opportunity to take advantage of some of the stimulus yourself as a business owner at a really low rate, these are great ways to really get your business going, but also get your whole financial picture working for you in a much better way. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is, of course, income doesn't equal wealth. And so again, if you're one of these and you do find yourself making more money than ever, ask yourself, if you keep spending all of that income, then it doesn't matter if you're making twice as much because it's all still going out the back door. So you really need to get your arms around that and start to save first. Make saving a priority and put a plan in place so that you can do that, and be tax aware when you're doing that. If you're making all of this money, you're going to pay a lot of taxes this year. Let's look for an opportunity to find a way for you to save for yourself and reduce your tax burden. And that's why you want to bring your whole team together. Jackie, that was most of what I had for our comments today for our listeners.
Yeah, that's all very good information, Susan. Thank you. At this time, we definitely want to be able to open up the floor to questions. And so a little bit of housekeeping, guys. If you do have a question for Susan over some of the topics that she discussed, or maybe you have a question, another question that she did not cover, feel free to ask here in the comments. We can read them out to the group, and I know Susan will be happy to answer any questions.
And if what I just said didn't make a whole lot of sense and you want me to tell you again, please let me know.
Give everyone a few minutes to have an opportunity to comment.
And I'm watching as we go up today. The Dow is up over 200 points and the S&P is up 1/3%, just under 12 points. So our topic was timely, I hope.
So we did have a question that just came in. It says, are there things that a small business can do before year end to get additional tax benefits?
There are, of course, and that's really why you want to plan, because I always say, waiting until after the end of the year and just giving somebody the numbers, all they can really do mostly at that point is add it up and tell you where you stand. By taking a look at where you stand right now, especially with your business, what do the profits look like? You can make better decisions about, are there investments you need to make in your business? Because of course that would be to your advantage to spend that money this year during a high income year. If you don't have a retirement plan in place yet, or if you do and you don't think you're optimizing it, that's one of your biggest opportunities. depending on how your business is structured, that could be one of the largest tax deductions that you could find, is saving for your own retirement. And I love that when we take money out of one bucket and we put it in another bucket, they both belong to me, but one gives me a tax deduction. So that's usually a good way to start. But I would highly encourage you, sit down and have that consulting session with your team, and especially your CPA. I don't see people doing that enough.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
And hopefully everybody is taking advantage of those low interest rates that I mentioned. So I know I've talked to a lot of my clients about refinancing. I would leave that with folks too. If you haven't looked at that recently, take a look. Rates again today, they were showing 30 years under 3% and 15 years at 2.5%. And we haven't seen those rates ever, basically.
Those are great. There is another question that came in. Is there a consultation fee to come and sit down and speak with you?
Oh, that's a great question. I should have led with that. Thank you. No, there is no consultation fee. We do what we call a fit meeting. We want to get together with our prospective clients. We want to understand what you're looking for when you're looking for an advisor. We want to explain how we work with clients and make sure it's a fit for both of us, because we want this to be a long-term relationship, but there's no fee for that initial meeting.
Great. And then let's see, we have another question here. Do you have any kind of communications that you send out with market updates that we could sign up for? I think they're asking about maybe a newsletter or
yeah, it's interesting. So we do have a newsletter. We send it out monthly. And as far as market updates, because we're really working with our clients to focus on a longer term plan, we're not always focusing on short-term investment results, but we do a market update every quarter, and that quarterly market update is part of our newsletter. And if you have any interest and you're not on that newsletter distribution, we would love to add you.
Okay, great. Yeah, and if you guys would like to be added to her newsletter and you're not currently getting that, if you want to send a comment to me, then I can make sure that we get that information over to Susan.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, any other questions? All right.
Okay.
It looks like that.
Well, happy investing, happy savings, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It was a pleasure to meet everybody and have this opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for agreeing to come on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. We definitely thank you for your time. And as always, we thank you for your time, the participants that came. I know there's a lot of things that you could be doing right now, and we're all so busy, and you chose to spend the time with us, so we really appreciate that. Tomorrow is going to be our last day of the virtual series, Lunch and Learn. We are going to be visiting with Kevin Hartridge of Hargray, and he's going to be sharing connectivity in Greene County. I know that is a hot topic that a lot of people want to know about, and he's going to be here sharing the current connectivity and then also what's to come, what we can expect in the future. So we appreciate your time. We thank you, and we will look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day.